If you are over 60 and you often wake up in the middle of the night to urinate, notice mild swelling in your feet by evening, feel tired even after a full night of sleep, or your doctor has ever told you that your kidney numbers are a little weak, please listen carefully. This may not be just a normal part of aging. Your kidneys may be under stress every day from the very vegetables you believe are healthy. I know that sounds hard to believe. You cut back on fried foods. You eat more vegetables. You choose tomatoes, potatoes, beets, and vegetable smoothies because you believe they are good for your health. But after 60, your kidneys do not filter as strongly as they once did. And some vegetables, especially when eaten too often, cooked down into a concentrated form, juiced, or used every day, can raise potassium, oxalates, and other minerals in your blood. When your kidneys cannot remove them fast enough, your body may start sending signals: fatigue, swollen feet, muscle cramps, an irregular heartbeat, blood pressure that is harder to control, lab results that keep getting worse. The most dangerous part is that your kidneys usually do not hurt. They do not give loud warnings. They simply grow weaker in silence. And by the time you find out through a creatinine test or an EGFR test, the damage may already be further along than you think. In this video, I will show you 3 very common vegetables in the diets of Americans over 60 that can overload your kidneys if you use them the wrong way. And more importantly, I will show you 3 other vegetables that may help take pressure off your kidneys, make your meals safer, and fit better into your daily routine. Before you eat another baked potato, drink another glass of beet juice, or pour more tomato sauce over your dinner, stay with me until the end. Because sometimes the thing hurting your kidneys is not fast food. It is the healthy food you eat every day. The first vegetable sounds completely harmless. It is found in almost every kitchen in America. You use it in pasta, soup, salads, sandwiches, and even in meals you believe are heart healthy. I am talking about tomatoes. Now, I want to make this clear first. A fresh tomato itself is not the villain. A few slices of fresh tomato in a salad are usually not a major problem for most people. The problem begins when tomatoes are cooked down and concentrated. When tomatoes become tomato sauce, tomato paste, canned tomato soup, ketchup, or thick sauces poured over pasta, the minerals inside them also become more concentrated. And one of the most important minerals to pay attention to is potassium. For a young and healthy person, the kidneys can usually handle extra potassium quite easily. But after 60, especially if you already have high blood pressure, diabetes, rising creatinine, or a declining EGFR, potassium is no longer a small issue. 1 cup of tomato sauce can contain a large amount of potassium. When you add a few spoonfuls of tomato paste, a bowl of tomato soup, or a plate of pasta covered in sauce, you may be giving your body more potassium than your kidneys can handle. And the dangerous part is that you may not feel it right away. You do not feel pain. You do not feel your kidneys crying out for help. You may only feel a little tired, a little weak, maybe slightly dizzy. Maybe your heart feels like it is beating strangely. Then you tell yourself it is just age. But inside your body, if your kidneys cannot remove potassium fast enough, that potassium can build up in your blood and directly affect the electrical system of your heart. This is why a meal that looks very healthy can sometimes become a problem. I have seen this pattern many times. A man who is very careful with his health, he does not smoke, he does not drink alcohol, he does not eat much fried food. Every weekend he makes his own pasta sauce at home with tomato paste and olive oil. He thinks to himself, I am not eating canned junk. I am not eating fast food. This must be a healthy meal. But after some time, he starts to feel weak. He becomes a little short of breath. His heart feels like it is not beating normally. When he sees his doctor, the blood test shows that his potassium level is dangerously high. The problem is not that he was eating bad food. The problem is that he was eating a food he believed was healthy, but it was too concentrated for his kidneys. That is what surprises so many people over 60. They do not damage their health with one obviously bad decision. They do it with a choice that seems right, repeated day after day. So do you need to remove tomatoes from your life completely? Not necessarily. What matters is understanding the difference between fresh tomatoes and concentrated tomatoes. Instead of using a whole bowl of tomato sauce, Keep the amount small. Instead of using thick tomato paste, try fresh diced tomatoes, roasted red bell peppers, or lower potassium vegetables for flavor. You can also use basil, parsley, garlic, onion, pepper, or lemon juice to make your food taste better without overwhelming your kidneys with too much potassium. A small change like that can make a big difference. But concentrated tomatoes are only the first one. The next food is even more common. It appears at breakfast, at dinner, at Thanksgiving, at family meals, at restaurants, and even in home-cooked meals. It is soft, it is warm, it is comforting, and for many Americans, it is tied to the feeling of family. I am talking about potatoes. Potatoes are one of the most misunderstood foods. Many people believe that as long as they are not fried in oil, baked potatoes or mashed potatoes must be safe. But when your kidneys are weak, the problem is not only oil or fat. The problem is potassium. One medium baked potato can contain a very high amount of potassium. Sweet potatoes can do the same. And if you eat mashed potatoes, sweet potato casserole, and roasted potatoes all in the same meal, that potassium can add up very quickly. This happens to many people after 60. They stop drinking soda, they reduce sugar, they avoid fried foods, but every evening they still eat a baked potato because they believe it is natural and healthy. Then one day their blood test shows that their potassium is too high. They are shocked. They say, "But I am not eating anything bad." And they are right. They are not eating something bad in the usual sense, but they may be eating something their kidneys can no longer handle the way they used to. I think about a grandmother at Thanksgiving dinner who has been trying to eat healthier for months. She avoids cake, she avoids soda, she avoids fast food. But during the family meal, she takes a little mashed potato, a little sweet potato casserole, and a few pieces of roasted red potato. Everything is homemade, everything looks normal. But later that night, her heart starts to race, her muscles feel weak, she feels lightheaded. When she goes to the emergency room, the doctors find that her potassium level has risen to a dangerous range. This is what older adults need to understand clearly. Potassium is not bad. Your body needs potassium for your muscles to work, for your nerves to send signals, and for your heart to beat normally. But when your kidneys become weaker, extra potassium is not removed fast enough. It starts to build up in your blood. At first, you may only feel tired. Then your muscles may feel weak. Then your heartbeat may become irregular. And if potassium rises too high, the consequences can become very serious. So does this mean you must give up potatoes forever? Not necessarily, but you do need to eat them more wisely. One important method is to soak and boil potatoes the right way. Peel them, cut them into thin slices, and soak them in water for several hours. Then throw away the soaking water and boil them in fresh water. This can help reduce the potassium in potatoes compared with baking them whole or frying them. Portion size also matters. Instead of eating a large potato, eat a small serving. And do not combine several potato dishes in the same meal. A small amount is much safer than a full plate. And remember this, homemade food does not automatically mean kidney safe. Sometimes the danger is not in a restaurant. It is in the most familiar food on the family table. But potatoes are still not the most deceptive one, because there is another vegetable being promoted everywhere as a superfood. Many people drink it every morning because they believe it helps detox the body, improves the blood, supports the heart, and gives more energy. But if your kidneys are already weak, this juice can become a heavy burden. I am talking about beets. Beets have a beautiful red color, a natural sweetness, and a very healthy image. You can see beet juice in health food stores, beet powder in superfood products, beet shots in wellness routines, and beet smoothies in recipes for people who want better health. And yes, for some healthy people, beets may offer real benefits, but for someone over 60, especially if you already have kidney disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, or rising creatinine, beets need to be used with care. Beets contain two things you should pay close attention to: potassium and oxalates. A glass of beet juice can contain a meaningful amount of potassium, but the bigger concern in my clinical view is oxalates. Oxalate is a natural compound that can bind with calcium and form crystals. When too much oxalate enters the body, especially through juice or concentrated powder. It may increase the risk of crystal formation in the kidneys. For someone with healthy kidneys, the body may handle this reasonably well, but for someone with weaker kidneys, this can feel like pouring thick sediment into a filter that is already tired. I often explain it this way. Think of your kidneys like a coffee filter. When the filter is new, water passes through easily. But when the filter is older, partly clogged, and you keep adding more sediment and pressure, the flow slows down. When kidney function has already declined, concentrated products like beet juice, beet powder, or beet shots can increase that burden quickly. The important thing is that many people do not realize they may be harming themselves. They drink beet juice because they want to get healthier. They believe the deep red color means life, energy, and healing. But sometimes the same food can be helpful for one person and not right for another. A young athlete with healthy kidneys may drink beet juice before exercise and have no problem. But a 68-year-old with high blood pressure, rising creatinine, multiple medications, and slower kidney filtration is a completely different situation. That is why you should not follow every detox trend you see online. Not everything called a superfood is right for your kidneys. So what should you do if you enjoy beets? A safer approach is to eat them in a small amount, cooked or roasted, rather than drinking them as juice. When you juice beets, it is easy to consume far more than you would ever eat in one sitting. One glass may contain an amount of beets you would never finish in one meal. If your doctor says beets are allowed for you, consider pairing a small serving with a calcium-containing food such as yogurt, because calcium can bind with some oxalates in the gut before they ever reach the kidneys. But if you already have kidney concerns, avoid concentrated forms such as beet powder, beet shots, or daily beet juice. They are not always detoxing you. Sometimes they are simply giving your kidneys more work to do. At this point, you may be thinking, so what vegetables are actually safe? The answer is yes, they exist, and this is the most important part of what I want to share with you today. Not all vegetables are hard on your kidneys. Some vegetables may help make your meals lighter, safer, and more suitable for your body after 60. The first one is cauliflower. Cauliflower is not as exciting as beets. It does not have the bright color of red bell peppers. It is not promoted everywhere as a miracle detox food. But for someone who needs to care for their kidneys, cauliflower is a very smart choice. The reason is simple. Cauliflower is much lower in potassium than potatoes. It is also low in sodium, low in phosphorus, and much gentler on the kidneys overall. 1 cup of cooked cauliflower contains far less potassium than a baked potato, and that difference matters. When you are over 60, caring for your kidneys is not only about avoiding bad foods, it is also about replacing heavier foods with gentler ones. If you are used to eating mashed potatoes with dinner, try mashed cauliflower instead. Steam cauliflower until it is soft. Mash it smooth. Add a little olive oil, garlic, pepper, and herbs. It still feels soft, warm, and comforting, but it is much lighter on the kidneys than a plate of potassium-heavy mashed potatoes. Many people think that eating for kidney health means bland, boring food, losing all the joy of meals. But that is not what I believe, and it is not what I have seen work in practice. The goal is not to give up every food you enjoy. The goal is to find smarter versions of the meals you already love. Cauliflower can be roasted until the edges turn golden. It can be steamed until tender. It can be lightly sautéed. It can be mashed. It can be added to soup. It absorbs flavor very well, so you can use garlic, onion, lemon, pepper, basil, parsley, and other herbs to make it genuinely delicious without relying on too much salt. Cauliflower also belongs to the cruciferous vegetable family, along with broccoli and cabbage. This group contains natural plant compounds that may support the body in managing inflammation and oxidative stress. In simple terms, these vegetables may help your body feel lighter, instead of pushing your kidneys to work harder after every meal. Keep this image in your mind. On one side, a plate of mashed potatoes loaded with potassium, making your kidneys work harder. On the other side, a soft plate of mashed cauliflower, warm with garlic, lighter and more kidney-friendly. Both can help you feel full, but only one of them may help your kidneys breathe a little easier. And when you repeat the better choice every day, the results do not come from magic. They come from consistency. This meal is a little lighter, Tomorrow your kidneys carry a little less pressure. Next week your body may feel a little more stable. That is how real health is built after 60. But cauliflower is not the only good choice. There is another vegetable with more color, more natural sweetness, and a special advantage if you want to reduce tomato sauce, ketchup, or high potassium sauces. That vegetable is the red bell pepper. Red bell peppers are often treated like decoration, a few slices to make a salad look pretty, or a small amount in a stir fry. But for someone who needs kidney-friendly eating, red bell peppers deserve much more attention. They are relatively lower in potassium compared with many other vegetables. They are also rich in vitamin C, beta-carotene, and antioxidants, nutrients that help protect cells from oxidative stress, which is closely connected to aging and the gradual decline of organ function over time. But even more importantly, red bell peppers help you create real flavor without depending on tomato sauce or salt, and this matters a great deal. Many people give up fast food and switch to healthy home-cooked meals, but they still use too much tomato sauce, tomato paste, canned soup, or thick sauces for flavor. They think they are eating better, but for weakened kidneys, those sauces may carry more potassium, sodium, and additives than they realize. Red bell peppers can help solve that problem. You can roast red bell peppers until the edges become slightly charred and their natural sweetness deepens. You can blend roasted red bell peppers into a sauce instead of using tomato sauce. You can slice them raw into salads for a crisp, refreshing texture. You can lightly saute them with garlic and olive oil. You can even stuff them with suitable grains, herbs, and a moderate amount of protein to make a complete, satisfying meal. They give you color, sweetness, aroma, and satisfaction without making the meal feel too heavy for your kidneys. I have seen this work. A man who gave up fries, burgers, and soda, but kept having tomato soup, tomato sauce, and pasta with red sauce at almost every meal because he believed those were clean, healthy choices. Yet his potassium kept rising. His blood pressure was still difficult to control. His body still felt tired after meals. When he started using roasted red bell peppers, vegetable stir-fries, and bell pepper-based sauces, and reduced the concentrated tomato products, his meals were still colorful and satisfying, but much lighter. His body began to respond differently. That is what I want you to remember. Eating for your kidneys does not mean eating pale, flavorless food. It means using the right ingredients to create flavor without overload. Red bell peppers can do that. They do not only make your plate look more alive, they help you replace foods that may be quietly putting pressure on your kidneys. And if you want to start with one small change, try this. The next time you reach for ketchup, tomato paste, or canned tomato soup, try roasted red bell peppers instead. That one substitution alone can make a meaningful difference. But there is one more ingredient that may already be sitting in your kitchen right now. It is smaller than cauliflower. It is less colorful than red bell peppers. But its power is not small at all. I am talking about garlic. Garlic is one of the simplest, most affordable, and most familiar ingredients in the kitchen. But for someone over 60, especially someone who needs to manage blood pressure and protect kidney health, garlic has one major advantage. It creates strong, satisfying flavor without salt. And this is very important. Salt is one of the things that raises blood pressure, and high blood pressure is one of the leading causes of kidney damage over time. When pressure inside the blood vessels stays elevated, the tiny blood vessels inside the kidneys are under constant stress, day after day, year after year. This slowly weakens the kidney's filtering function. So every time you reduce salt while still keeping your food enjoyable, you are helping both your heart and your kidneys at the same time. Garlic does this very well. When you chop, crush, or mash fresh garlic, a compound called allicin is activated. That is why fresh garlic has such a strong, distinctive smell. Allicin and other natural compounds in garlic have been observed to support inflammation control, antioxidant protection, and cardiovascular health. In my own experience working with older patients, garlic stands out as one of the simplest dietary tools that actually gets used consistently, because food still tastes good. And that is the deeper issue. One of the main reasons many people cannot stay with a kidney-friendly diet is that the food feels like a punishment. The doctor says to reduce salt. The family says to eat healthier. But when they sit down at the table, The food has no taste, no aroma, and no pleasure, so they go back to old habits within days. Garlic can change that dynamic. You can use garlic in soup, in sautéed vegetables, in mashed cauliflower, in roasted bell peppers, in fish, chicken, beans, or any vegetable dish. Even a small amount can make food smell and taste genuinely satisfying. Here is a simple tip I always share. Crush or chop fresh garlic, then let it sit for about 10 minutes before cooking. This allows the natural compounds time to activate more fully. After that, add garlic to your food over moderate heat, but try not to burn it, because burned garlic becomes bitter and loses both its flavor and its benefits. I think of a woman in her early 60s trying to control her blood pressure. She takes her medication faithfully. She sees her doctor regularly. But her daily meals still contain too much salt because she is afraid the food will taste like nothing without it. When she begins using fresh garlic, onion, pepper, herbs and lemon for flavor, she is able to reduce salt without sacrificing the pleasure of eating. Her meals still feel warm and satisfying. Her blood pressure becomes easier to manage. That is not a replacement for medication. That is supporting the body with smarter daily habits. And I want to be very clear about something. If you are taking blood pressure medication, blood thinning medication, or you are being treated for kidney disease, do not change or stop your medication based on anything you eat. Garlic is a supportive food. It does not replace your doctor or your prescribed treatment, but when used thoughtfully in daily meals, garlic can become one of the simplest tools in your routine to reduce salt, improve flavor, and support healthier blood vessels. And when your blood vessels are healthier, your kidneys benefit too, because your heart and your kidneys do not work separately. They are a team. The heart pumps blood, the kidneys filter it. When blood pressure rises and blood vessels become stiff, the heart works harder and so do the kidneys. So when you choose foods that reduce the burden on your blood vessels, you are also giving your kidneys a better environment to do their work. By now, you can see the bigger picture. Some vegetables are not harmful for everyone, but they can become a real problem when the kidneys are weaker or when they are used the wrong way. Fresh tomatoes may be fine in small amounts, but concentrated tomato sauce, tomato paste, and frequent tomato soup may bring too much potassium into the body. Potatoes are familiar and comforting, but baking them whole, eating large portions, or combining several potato dishes in one meal may give your kidneys more potassium than they can process. Beets may be called a superfood, but beet juice, beet powder, and beet shots may be too concentrated and too demanding for someone with reduced kidney function. On the other side, cauliflower can help you replace potatoes with a lighter, kinder choice. Red bell peppers can replace thick tomato sauces with natural flavor and color. And garlic can help you reduce salt while keeping food genuinely delicious, supporting your blood pressure, your blood vessels, and your kidneys. The goal is not to become afraid of everything on your plate. You do not need to change your whole life overnight. Just begin with one better meal, one gentler habit, one kinder decision for your kidneys, your heart, and the body that has carried you through so many years. The choice is in your hands. I hope you have a peaceful, healthy, and energetic day.